moving on to our second loser of the AFC, the Steelers. The Steelers suck. I don't care that they were in the playoffs. I don't care about the record. I don't care about anything. They suck. 21st in yards allowed this year. They were 10th in takeaways. That's great. Top 10 in some category. Congratulations. Round of applause. 17th in passing defense. 19th in rushing defense. Kenny Pickett threw for 2,070 yards, 6 touchdowns. I didn't know it was the 1950s, and 4 interceptions. Their rushing was 13th in rushing yards, 12th in rushing touchdowns, 14th in expected points contributed by the rushing offense. Their top pass catchers were George Pickens and Deontay Johnson. Freiermuth being injured for most of the year. The offensive line is average to forgettable, and there's little financial flexibility. They're $6.7 million over the cap space this year. But I guess they have 7 draft picks, so they own their draft picks, which is good. But this team sucks. I mean, it starts and ends with the quarterback, I guess, right? But overall, I mean, you heard me read out the numbers, and there's nothing. It's a miracle they made it in. I would much rather see another. I would rather see the Colts make it. I wanted to see the Colts make it over the goddamn Steelers. I think the Colts had a better chance of beating anybody than the Steelers did. The Steelers suck in all facets.
Yeah, and they've already announced that Tomlin's back. I think they're a big candidate for Kirk Cousins this year. He can rehab his Achilles and get back in there. Did you see Najee Harris going off about what they say is George Pickens and about how George Pickens doesn't want to block because he doesn't want to get hurt? I put a little red flag on Micah Parsons. I'm putting a medium-sized red flag on the Steelers because that whole situation is. My team, if you don't block, you don't play. So downfield blocking by the wide receivers is what makes the engine go in San Francisco land. So Pickens doesn't want to block because he doesn't want to get hurt. Najee Harris quietly had a good season. He doesn't seem like a top 10 pick anymore, but you only have to rush for like 60 yards a game to get to 1,000 yards. So how exciting is it really? But there's only 5 or 6 of those guys that went for 1,000 yards this year, and he was one of them.
Very true.
He calls Pickens out. He didn't say Pickens by name, but that whole thing, and it's so weird when the defense that they have, you would just think with, TJ Watt and Highsmith on the other side and the safety, and you would just think that
Minka Fitzpatrick and Joey Porter, and
I mean, you stick a defense like that on the Packers, and you have a Super Bowl favorite, so they got to figure something.
Yeah,
they got to figure something out.
19th. I don't think you get a 19th in rushing defense and 17th in passing defense, right? You look at the names and you look and see what they have, and it's confusing, right? Do you know off the top of your head who the defensive coordinator is for the Steelers? Because is that the issue, right? I mean, it kind of comes down to coaching. On the offense, the rushing numbers aren't atrocious. They're middle of the road, 13th, 12th, 14th. They're there. Najee, again, like you said, quietly having a decent season, and you have weapons, Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Freiermuth. Offensive line needs some help, but they're young. You draft a guy like Roger Jones last year, and he has really good flashes. Now I would move him over to the left tackle position, his natural position, instead of the right tackle, and let the other guys battle it out for that position. It's there, but it's just you can't do it with Kenny Pickett, man.
Well, you can't do it with any of them. They need to overhaul that entire quarterback room. Like, if you want to keep Mason around to be your emergency, that's fine. But there's just gonna be too much. And it's funny how we recycle these guys that have had poor. Who would have won them a game is Carson Wentz, and I know he's a cancer, but look at what Sean McVay did to Baker Mayfield last year. He sprinkled a little Sean McVay dust on him. Look what Baker did this year. Carson Wentz, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo. There's going to be some bona fide options out there in free agency this year, and the Sixers. Honestly, I know you just drafted the dude in the first round, but it's clear that he can't play. It's if you're not going to be throwing from the pocket, if you're not going to be throwing from the pocket, you at least got to do the weird stuff that Justin Fields does. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't see an offensive play caller. This is the other thing is all the best offensive play callers on the market, they become head coaches, right? There's
Yeah.
nobody that wants to come be the OC in Pittsburgh. There's nobody wants to come be the OC in Philadelphia, knowing that those head coaches might be on the hot seat, because then they're
Yep.
a one hit wonder. Unless you're
Yep.
talking about a guy that is taking a massive promotion, a QB's coach or a running backs coach to be an offensive coordinator, then how is that guy going to make Kenny Pickett effective anyway?
I don't think you can.
I don't know what their game plan is. They should scour free agency this offseason and just there's plenty of guys out there. I mean, isn't someone interested in Sam Darnold? Like he sat as the backup all season and learned from Kyle. Why wouldn't you take a flyer on him instead
Yeah,
of
I mean,
bringing back Kenny Pickett?
when you look at the guys who are free agents for quarterbacks, you have Kirk Cousins, you have Baker Mayfield, Justin Fields is going to be a trade candidate. Kyler Murray could potentially be a trade candidate. Russell Wilson's going to get cut, obviously. And then
Take Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh. That's perfect. Call
yeah,
Dallas up and offer a 3rd-round pick for Cooper Rush. Like, you have so
yeah,
many options besides Kenny frickin' Pickett.
yeah. 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions is crazy in 2024. Like, that's crazy. Like, there's bad, 21 touchdowns, 21 picks or whatever that goddamn Sam Howell had in a million yards, right? There's bad where there's numbers still being put up and you just know, like, yo, that's a big stat patter, but he's not very good. And then there's Kenny Pickett. Like there's that, and then there's a level below it.
And you have those 2 wide receivers. Johnson is a route running guy, and
Yeah,
Pickens, he can do one thing. Pickens goes deep. You have the tight end. I have an idea. Call up the Saints and go get Jameis frickin' Winston. He
yeah,
might throw 31 touchdowns and 31 picks, but it's better than 6 and 4.
that's
I
true.
just there are so many options to complete. I thought Tomlin should be fired because he kept trotting that fool out there, and then he trotted out
Yeah,
Mitchell Trubisky. What are we doing?
yep,
Just run the Wildcat. Don't run
yep.
Trubisky out there anymore. And then you put Mace. You're telling me you spent all season with Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, and you started your playoff game with Mason Rudolph. He was sitting there all season. You went into the playoffs. You
Yep,
decided Mason Rudolph was your best option. You should be fired just for taking that long to get there. Like
yep,
Christian McCaffrey played quarterback for half a game last year in the playoffs. That was better than what we watched with Kenny Pickett this year. And the one pass that Christian McCaffrey threw was like a dead duck that it went off somewhere. It still hasn't landed. That's how bad of a pass it was. Still better than Kenny Pickett.
absolutely. And now let's shift gears away from the Steelers and just absolute, I think, mediocrity and just suckiness.